Sorry.
Unapologetic.
I'm not trying to talk about him.
Unlike anyone else.
But knowing y'all
will probably make me.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over the airwaves of Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82. The number to call up, as always, is 888-MAD-DOG-6. That's 888-623-3646. Once again, that's 888-MAD-DOG-6. That's 888-623-3646. Got a jam-packed show coming at you today. We know that I'm a basketball guy, but obviously football rules almost every day, except today. Today, we're talking baseball. The Duke and Campanella talking baseball. Let me tell you something right now. I can't say enough about how excited I am. 4 days to go in a regular season for Major League Baseball. October is what it's all about. It's rapidly approaching, and you just got to give it to Major League Baseball. And I'm going to spend some time giving some love to Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball. We're going to talk some baseball today, too. We're going to get into some football because we got Micah Parsons returning to Dallas in the Green Bay Packers uniform. We got the Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens scheduled to go up against one another. We got Thursday night football tonight with Arizona and Seattle set to go up against one another as well. There's a lot of football stuff to get into, make no mistake about it, and a little college football as well, because my man Paul Feinbaum called out Dabo Sweeney at Clemson. And, of course, we got two big-time games coming up this weekend with Penn State and Oregon, and, of course, Alabama rolling out to Athens to go up against Georgia and putting their 33-game home winning streak in jeopardy. There's a whole bunch of stuff to go get into as the show progresses today. But the first order of business is baseball, y'all. We just got to call it like we see it. I mean, to watch Cal Raleigh, Seattle, smacked a couple of home runs last night, eclipsing 60 home runs on the season. A catcher hitting 60 home runs for the season. What can you say? It's just not something that you've seen in Major League Baseball history. You got to give love where it's due. There's no doubt about that. But Kyle Schwarber in Philadelphia was not to be outdone. He smacked a couple of home runs last night in the city of brotherly love doing his thing. It was something spectacular to behold, upper deck style, okay? Hit his 56 home run last night, 55 and 56. So we've got that going on. We saw the Mets stink up the joint, knowing how important these games are, knowing they've only got a one-game lead against ahead of the Cincinnati Reds. They go out in Chicago and they wet the bed last night against the Chicago Cubs. So now we're looking at them being in limbo. Remember, and we also got to pay attention to what's happening to Detroit, arguably the biggest story in baseball, because these brothers had a 15-and-a-half-game lead in July, and it has evaporated. They have lost it, okay? And because they've lost it, their playoff hopes are in jeopardy. The Guardians are in control of their own destiny. And right now it's a question as to what is the bigger collapse. Is it indeed the Detroit Tigers, or is it indeed the collapse of the New York Mets, who after 69 games was like, or 70 games was like 49-21. And ever since then, they've been god-awful. Knowing that their starting rotation hasn't been impressive, knowing that they've had to overuse their bullpen, even though they got some young guns, all right, in McLean and Tong and Sprout, the bottom line is that the Mets don't seem to be that great at all. It's all a shock. And it's all a matter of your taste as to what's going to be the most compelling story to look at. But as the playoffs unfold, we got to look at the team who's in. 8 teams have clinched playoff berths. 4 spots remain. You talk about the Milwaukee Brewers, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Chicago Cubs, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Toronto Blue Jays, the San Diego Padres, the New York Yankees, and, of course, the Seattle Mariners. When you're talking about who's on the brink of clinching playoff berths, there's 2 teams. It's the Boston Red Sox, of course, and it's the Cleveland Guardians, who are in control of their own destiny. Boston took care of business against the Blue Jays last night, decreasing its magic number for a postseason berth to 1. Entering Thursday play, remember, the Yankees and the Blue Jays are tied to top the division with 90 and 68 records. The Red Sox, 3 games back, are now not far behind, so we've got to point that out, okay? But we still got to pay attention to this. The Yankees, they do not have the tiebreaker over Toronto or Boston. So we got to keep that in mind as well. Another win on Wednesday. The Guardians, who have been red hot, are now atop the AL Central. a division that just 100 days ago they seemed to have absolutely no chance in winning. All right. And the still scuffling Astros, all right, just reading from my research here, sit one game behind the Tigers for the final American League wild card spot. So this is what you got to do. In terms of what to watch for Thursday's games, you got the Tigers going up against the Guardians tonight. A win could give Cleveland a 2-game advantage over Detroit in the AL Central. The White Sox at the Yankees. Rodon closes out the series for New York. They look to keep pace with Toronto for the American League's East crown, like I told you. You got the Red Sox at Toronto. And this is how beautiful it is with baseball. Who anticipate this? When you got the schedule comes out before the season, right? So here you are. You got the Blue Jays battling with the New York Yankees, but you got the Red Sox trying to get in. So the Red Sox at the Blue Jays is a game that matters significantly. This late in the season, to have regular season games, the last 4 days of the regular season with so many games mattering. You know, not just for a division crown, but for an overall playoff berth is a beautiful thing. To see. That's why we got to give props to the Blue Jays and the Red Sox for this game mattering. A Boston win would secure the Red Sox a postseason berth, while a Toronto loss would put the Blue Jays on their heels in the American League East, a division it once had firm control over. The Dodgers are going up against the Diamondbacks. All right, we got to look at them, because you're talking about how they'd like to put the NL West away, especially given the state of its bullpen. But you know what? The Diamondbacks ain't going to just fade away quietly. They ain't going to do that. The Mets and the Cubs. That's interesting. Chicago still hasn't clinched the NL's top wild card spot. And they got to go up against the Mets, and they've got to handle their business just the way that they did last night, of course. And, of course, there's the Mariners. Seattle still has a chance to claim the AL top seed, which would ensure home field advantage through the ALCS. That's very, very important to Seattle. Riley, by the way, is 2 homers away from tying Aaron Judge for the American League single-season record of 62 home runs, making this more than just a throwaway nightcap. So all of that stuff is going on right now. We can't ignore it. We got to give props where props is due to Major League Baseball, and I just feel like this is a time to do that. First things first, though. American League MVP, who you got? Is it Aaron Judge? His batting average leads the league. Batting 23, 28, 51 home runs. You see it right there. 109 RBIs, a 455 on base percentage, a 681 slugging percentage, okay? I'm just looking at that. Now, Raleigh is only batting 248. Okay? I mean, that's like 80 points. 248 to 328. That's damn near 80 points. It's about 80 points less than what Aaron Judge is averaging. But those 60 home runs count. Him being a catcher while doing it counts. He's got more RBIs, all right? And I'm looking at it from that standpoint, and I'm saying, what's wrong with it? Especially if Seattle, sits up there and captures the number 1 seed, the top seed in the American League. I mean, you might have to give it. You might have to give it to Cal Raleigh. Here's what I would tell you about the National League MVP race, because I think it's worth pointing out and it's worth mentioning, okay? Right now, according to the betting markets, because that's usually what tells it all, in recent numbers by ESPN Bet, Ohtani had a 97% chance of winning the award. You have to bet $25,000 to win $100. Did you know that? You got to bet $25,000 to win $100. That's how dominant the odds are for Ohtani to win National League MVP over Kyle Schwarber. Ohtani this season, second to Schwarber with 53 home runs, has 99 RBIs, a 392 on-base percentage, second to Juan Soto, and a league-best 617 sluggage percentage, all right, and 1,009 OPS. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, hey, I can't ignore this. Going back to the Mets, I got to pay attention to what's been happening with them as well. 9 errors in the last 6 games. 9 errors in the last 6 games for the New York Mets. That's amongst the worst in the majors. All right, it's certainly not what you want with a playoff push going on. 5-12 in their last 17 games overall. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about the New York Mets right now. And so on one hand, you look at them as cardiac kids and you're saying to yourself, listen, we saw them last year. They beat the Phillies. We saw them last year make some noise against Milwaukee as well. All right, you look at the New York Mets and you say to yourself, yo, they got a chance. Beat the Phillies, beat Milwaukee, obviously. They wasn't going to beat the Dodgers last year. But a lot of people look at the Mets and they say with the Dodgers' shaky rotation, you could take the Dodgers out this year in the best of 3 series in the first round if you're the New York Mets. The question is, are they going to get there? Juan Soto's been balling, make no mistake about it. But with him doing what he's doing with his 42 home runs, with his 100-plus RBIs, you expected with him, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, all right, Nemo as well. You expected the Mets to be in a better position. But something has happened with them. And like I told y'all before, it's all about pitching. If your pitching don't show up, what the hell you going to do? What the hell you going to do? When I look at my New York Yankees, I've been lamenting all year long how sporadic their defense has been. It hasn't been impressive at all, okay? And even though we've seen Freed and Rodon, all right, and Heel come on strong over the last couple of weeks or so, the fact is you still look at the New York Yankees and you have questions. What I'm excited about with my New York Yankees for the first time in a while, no matter how formidable they were during the regular season in years past, I always felt like they were going to wet the bed and they were going to fall when it really, really counted, because I never felt like you could have pitching that you could rely upon. Right now, it looks like they've got pitching they can rely upon. And if the Yankees are going to get good pitching, then you know what the story is going to be. It's going to come down to Aaron Judge. You can't bat 205 in the postseason. You can't do that. Yes, he had defensive lapses too, like he did in the World Series. But the big thing is you can't have a 205 batting average. You can't be 325 in the regular season and 205 in the postseason. I personally believe that played the role in Juan Soto willing to leave the Yankees. Yeah, you might have your boys over there, your Hispanic brothers. I get it. It's a couple of them on the Yankees too. But when you look at the Mets, Lindor and the crew in that lineup, he feels right at home. And I get it, but I firmly believe, and I have no evidence of this, no insider told me this, I didn't report on this covering baseball because that's not what I do, but I just have the sneaky feeling that Juan Soto left the New York Yankees because he didn't believe in Aaron Judge come postseason time. And the Mets, with their payroll, $350 million plus, they were supposed to be better. But turns out they're struggling to get in the postseason while the Yankees, once again, are there. So, again, with all their struggles, we still got to give props where props is due to Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman. As much as we might lament, we might begrudgingly do so, the bottom line is they got to the postseason again for the 7th time in 8 years. It would be nice to win one because it's the Yankees. And you got 27 World Series on your resume, 27 World Series championships. Getting to the playoffs don't cut it for us. Not Yankee fans, which I am a diehard fan of. I root for the Mets against everybody but the Yankees. I root for the Yankees above all else. The Yankees and the Knicks, that's me. The Yankees and the Knicks. And when it comes to this time of year, I have to confess to you, this is the first time in a while I've been this enthusiastic. All right? I can tell you right now, for me personally, and my producer's corrected me with Nemo as opposed to Nemo, my bad. I was thinking about the damn animated film. What do you want me to say? That's just me. I can roll like that. I can mispronounce names. If Doggy can mispronounce names as much as he does, I can do it on occasion, okay? Because that man does it every day, but I digress. My point is this. In the end, when I think about the Yankees, especially with them having some pitching, it's going to come down to Aaron Judge. Are you going to be that dude? Giancarlo Stanton, you going to be that dude? Y'all going to show up? And it can't be with the Yankees all about smacking home runs. You got to manufacture runs. It's easier to steal bases in this day and age than what it used to be. It's easier to manufacture runs if you're committed to it than what it used to be. And that's where I'm going to go to next when I want to take a moment to give Commissioner Rob Manfred his flowers, his props, because he deserves it. Why do I say such a thing? What the hell is wrong with me? Am I on the weed? No, I am not. I stand by it. I like the commissioner of Major League Baseball. I like what he has done. And I'm going to tell y'all why in just a minute. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio, 888 Mad Dog 6 is always the number to call up. That's 888-623-3646. Also, if you want to send in your voicemails, don't forget to go to SiriusXM.com/GetSerious. That's SiriusXM.com/GetSerious. Why do I tell you that? I tell you why I've been telling you that. I've been checking the submissions, and I love hearing y'all out there. The passion is real, but listen up. Don't let somebody else outshine you. If you got a take, we need to hear it. Get your voice in the mix at SiriusXM.com/get serious. That's SiriusXM.com/get serious. To your phone calls we go. Before we get to hour number 2, I'll get into some football. I definitely will do that and whatever other news is going on out there that I feel compelled to touch on. But remember also, start of hour number 2, senior baseball analyst extraordinaire, the one and only Buster Olney, is coming on to break down the MLB playoff picture as well at the start of hour number 2. So stick around. We got a jam-packed show coming your way. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show, SiriusXM, Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82. Back with your calls and more in a minute.